We're going to start the webinar. We've invited Jeff Dieck with Pyxis to come out and talk about inventory management, inventory control using ultrasonic technology, and corrosion monitoring using LPR technology. In both these cases, the technology can be wireless and can remote communicate as necessary. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jeff.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining today's call. I'm just going to spend a little bit of time discussing with you two NPIs that were recently launched by Pyxis Lab in the first quarter of this year and are now available for purchase to the marketplace. The next page is just kind of a little bit of highlight of the products that we're going to be discussing today. We're going to first dive into the Bluetooth ultrasonic level sensor system called the LS202, available from Pyxis, and it's receiving Bluetooth receiving unit and display called the BTA100. I'll talk about the design of those units, how they function, and how they may be of value to your customer base or to help you manage and grow your business. And then we'll dive into the new LPR corrosion sensor launch from Pyxis called CR200 and CR300, as well as our localized display and readability of that probe. So a little bit of detail on the history of the LS202. That's been a project that we've been working on now for over a year. The request came to us from one of our larger customers that had over about 15,000 tanks in operation in their North American fleet, and many of which were double-walled. And you guys may or may not be experiencing that scenario, but in those particular tank operations, inventory management detection can be rather difficult, requiring entry into the tank or in the use of a conventional ultrasonic meter, which would require wiring and potential conduit and power supply from a controller. So with these, important protocol that we've been asked by the customer, we came up with the LS202 technology. And in essence, there's a photograph here to the right of what the unit looks like. It's a self-contained unit. It's got a 1-inch NPT threaded bottom. It can be threaded into the top of any tank. It needs to be installed in a level platform. And it contains conventional ultrasonic technology. There is a difference, however, in the ultrasonic beam of this device. Is a very, very narrow, almost very, very narrow diameter beam, and it has some benefits to its operation in that it tends to be extremely accurate in agitated environments and foaming. It has the ability to actually see through foaming during a fill cycle. We're in the process of generating some YouTube videos of the device in action that we'll be posting to the internet here shortly. But the other advantages of the device is that we offer a localized display. This was a big KPI for our customer base, saying that they're frustrated with not having an ultrasonic device that has a local display. So we built in I think an 1.5-inch LED display, which provides a series of information, including the volume, the distance to the surface of the chemical, the total height of the chemical, and there's even a usage function that can be programmed into the device. What makes this sensor unique is that it can be both wired or operate in a wireless mode. So on the back of the unit, in the next slide you'll see there's actually a 7-pin quick connection. We provide a cable, a 6-foot cable, and we have cables extending up to 300 feet, which would enable you to wire this probe directly to any controller receiving a 4 to 20 milliamp or Modbus input. It would be powered in that operation mode by the controller. But for those applications where wiring and distance to the controller is an issue, or the customer's not interested in providing conduit or wiring runs, this unit can be run in a battery operation mode with 4 AA batteries. And when in that mode, the device can be set to Bluetooth functionality. It has 2 different Bluetooth modes that we're going to talk about. One's called a periphery mode, and the next is called a beacon mode. And we'll talk about the differences between the 2 of those. But in essence, in the Bluetooth mode, You can utilize the Pyxis app on your smartphone or your PC, which is a free app available for download, and communicate directly with the tank level monitor. The tank level monitor can be programmed for the timing of recording events, from continuous recording up to once per hour, and multiple steps in between. The default is once every 30 minutes, and at a 30-minute frequency of measurement, you will be able to run on 4 AA batteries for approximately 9 months. The device will store 6 months of inventory data at a frequency of measuring every 30 minutes. And with the Bluetooth functionality, you can connect to the device using the Pyxis app, and we're going to show you some slides on how to do that. And you can upload your inventory and your consumptive use data directly from the device to your phone and email it to yourself as a CSV file. Another functionality in the Bluetooth mode is some customers like to still connect it to their controller. So we offer a single channel receiver called a BTA100, which can be wired into any controller and takes that Bluetooth inventory signal, wirelessly receives it from the device, redisplays it, and then converts it for a wired input to a conventional controller. So there's a lot of functionality built into this technology above and beyond a conventional ultrasonic meter that you would hardwire. But I think most importantly, we'll show you that the configuration and the use of the device is extremely simple. When you purchase the device, you put it into a Bluetooth mode and you use your smartphone app to actually configure it, and I'll show you some of those slides in the next page. But just a few settings and you'll be up and running, and you'll have your localized inventory, and you'll be able to begin tracking and uploading your data. We offer this device at a list price of $750 to the end-use customer, and a 25% discount to AWT members. So the price to AWT is $563. And ETI, yeah. So the ETI falls into that category as well. So just some food for thought as we dive into some of the details. Just FYI, this particular model, the LS202, is designed for the middle market, and it has a range of 0 to 78 inches in vertical height. We do have some customers using it at much higher than that, but we typically recommend keeping it under 78 inches. We will have a unit released later this summer capable of 8 meters or 24 feet in height. Just a little couple of photos here. Lower left corner, you can see on the reverse side of the device, the Quick Connect. This is the 7-pin adapter, which we'll provide with the device and a 6-foot cable. And again, we offer additional extension cables for those customers that would like to hardwire the probe and use in a conventional mode directly to any controller. And you can, again, wire this into any controller, either using a 4 to 20 milliamp or an RS-485 Modbus connection. The beauty of RS-485 is that for those customers that actually don't have a controller and they want to wire this data directly into their network system or their DCS system, they're enabled to do that with this product line simply by landing that directly to the network. There's a schematic on the upper right corner of this picture showing the unit where the batteries become installed. So in essence, there are 4 tiny screws. Get disconnected, you can install 4 AA batteries, reconnect the top display, and you can go directly to Bluetooth mode. The bottom right diagram shows the top of the unit, and there's an LED light showing the power status indicator to the left, and an LED light showing the Bluetooth status indicator to the right, and a series of 4 buttons which enable you to actually set the method in which you are going to communicate in Bluetooth mode, whether in a periphery format or in a beacon format.
Can it work simultaneously with wired and Bluetooth?
Yes, it can. It can do that. If you wire it directly, it can work simultaneously with wired and Bluetooth. If you wire it directly to a controller, it will be powered by the controller, and it will return a 4 to 20 signal to the controller, but you can still configure the device to output a Bluetooth signal so that as a service technician or an account manager, as you're walking by the tank or taking a delivery, you can pull the probe on your phone and see real-time inventory, but also upload historical data. Okay. In the Bluetooth mode, you would utilize the Pyxis app. This presentation has some scanning icons on the top here to take you directly to the app, either on Apple iStore or Google Play. They're free for download. We also offer a PC version of the app, which is available on our website, pyxis-lab.com. And you can download that to a PC for dialogue to the unit. It's very, very simple to configure. Once you open the app, you go to the settings function, and that'll allow you to enter in some key indicators that are required in order to configure the device, including the volume of the tank that you're measuring, the installation height, which is actually the height that the meter is installed at, as well as the maximum liquid level height of the tank. And it will provide, you also have the ability to adjust your sampling interval. There's a continuous mode. I would not recommend continuous mode if you're in a battery-operated format, because in continuous mode, you'll only get a few days of life. We recommend a sampling interval of once every 30 minutes or every hour. And if you do that, you should have 9 months to a year of operation on 4 AA batteries. But you do have that flexibility to change whichever sampling interval. And then we have a display turn-off setup as well. So you can, when you walk by the device, if you want to see the local inventory, you just press the power button for 1 or 2 seconds on the top, and it'll activate the local display. And you can program the length in which that local display remains highlighted before it turns itself off. We talked a little bit earlier about, for those customers that really aren't into using the app, but really want to use this as a conventional ultrasonic level detector in a wireless format and connect it to their existing controller, what do they do? In that case, they would want to purchase the BTA-100. The BTA-100 is a localized receiver and display. It's a single channel, so for each level indicator, you get one BTA-100. It's a very low-cost solution to integrating one tank at a time. It basically takes the Bluetooth signal from your tank level monitor, the LS202, remotely, and then it will redisplay the value that's on the tank itself. But in the back of that device are 4 to 20 and Modbus wiring, open wires, and that can be wired directly to any conventional controller that receives those inputs. So it allows you to transfer the data wirelessly from your tank to your controller as an analog input. The list price on this device is $250, and we offer a discount to ETI and AWT members of $180. And it, again, is powered by the controller that you're connecting to. And then finally here, we offer a multi-channel display called a UC300B. This is actually in the final stages of production. We've sold one of these so far with one of our partners that was doing some beta testing, and we recently added some functionality to it. But we'll have this available here in the month of, later this month. But the 300B, in essence, enables you to connect to 4 tank-level monitors with one display. And it offers a number of additional features. One is a graphical display of each tank, of inventory and usage. It also offers 4 to 20 and Modbus output so that it can be directly wired to a controller. And it offers a Bluetooth interface so it can take the signal remotely from the tank level monitor. But most importantly, it also offers an Ethernet direct drop for a modem in the event that you want to use this as a gateway to a data management system. This is really for those customers that have a need for inventory management, that don't have a controller or don't really necessarily have a need for a controller, but they want that localized display, they want that Bluetooth capability, and they want to have the ability to transfer that data elsewhere. This device has a list price of, I believe, $800, and we're providing it to AWT and ETI at our discount at 25%, $600. And it, too, can be diagnosed remotely with the Pyxis app. So I'm going to move on to, go ahead.
So we're going to take a break here, and we're going to just check to see if we have any questions we need to catch up on. So bear with us 1 second. Okay, everybody's unmuted. Sharing.
Does anybody have any questions so far on the dialogue regarding the LS202 tank monitor? We have just another point. I have a lot of customers that like to buy this thing and use it as a carry-around device for measuring drum inventory, ironically. Once they set the inventory parameters of a 55-gallon drum, they just take the device, lay it in the bunghole, and measure the inventory and move on, as opposed to using a tape measure and a ruler to look through an opaque drum. So there are a lot of versatile applications for it. Because, you know, it is a higher cost than what you'll pay for a conventional ultrasonic meter, but there's also a tremendous amount of value that we've baked into the product. Not a direct apples-to-apples comparison. We're trying to build this product with the mindset that it's designed for the water treater to make life easy and efficient and you know, fit a need that otherwise may not have been provided to this point. So if there's no additional questions, I'll move on to the next items of discussion. Okay, another project that we've been focusing on for quite some time at Pyxis is bringing to the marketplace an LPR corrosion sensing technology that is commensurate with the performance of roarback or a corrator, which typically is considered best in class in the industry, but comes at a fraction of the price and is more versatile in its use. We've gotten a lot of feedback from customers about this, and we spent quite a bit of time, Kai Bin, my manager, and the owners in our research group, on developing a very product that can fit those needs. So we released this to the market here in the end of the first quarter this year. It's known as two primary product lines. One is CR200, and the second is CR300. I'll start with CR300. That's the device on the upper right corner of the screen. This is an LPR corrosion sensor that is self-contained. It requires no intermediate transducers, no specialized controllers, no specialized recording devices. We built it so that it can be powered by any conventional cooling tower controller that provides simple 24-volt power and can receive either a 4 to 20 input signal or a Modbus input signal. So that in and of itself differentiates the Pyxis technology. Most, you know, with the roarback, you do need to purchase their recorder. There's multiple interfaces along the way that pigeonhole the customer to using intermediate devices and or roarback devices to record corrosion. With the CR300, that's not a concern. You can wire this conventional controller. All the transducer and algorithm information is built into the probe itself, so it is simply a probe purchase. The other thing that's an advantage is, you know, we've designed it so that it's interchangeable with any conventional company electrodes. We do offer 5 different metallurgies for this technology in the configurations. Untreated steel, brass, copper, aluminum 661, and 304 stainless. But in essence, the other advantage is the level of detection of the device is 0.001 mils per year, and it offers both general and localized pitting corrosion as the output. So when wired, it will be wired as two 4 to 20 milliamp analog output signals if you're wiring it in that format. If you're wiring it in digital format through Modbus, you just connect the Modbus connectivity, digital diagnostics of the probe. Second product that is part of this launch is the CR200. And actually, the photograph I've included here is an outdated photo. The final version is actually stainless steel. It looks almost identical to the CR300, except it doesn't have a wire. And the CR200 is full LPR platform powered by a lithium-ion battery and integrated with a Bluetooth functionality chip. So the CR200 is truly for those applications where you're looking to detect general and localized corrosion in an area that would otherwise be prohibitive to install a corrosion sensor. And in our market, that happens quite frequently. In many cases, I've learned even when I was in the water treatment industry, you're kind of cornered into using a corrosion coupon rack in a location of the facility that's convenient for installation purposes, but not necessarily reflective of the most prone areas of corrosion in the operation. And this is where the CR200 technology can truly allow you to provide something to your customer that they otherwise would have never had before. Simply by screwing it into a flow line of a 1-inch NPT and utilizing this device in a Bluetooth mode, capture your corrosion data. And it also offers both general and localized corrosion in those same 5 metallurgies, and would be configured and data uploaded utilizing that same app called Pyxis that we would use for the level sensor. Next slide is just some general dimensions, and I can pass this PowerPoint presentation along to anybody that may be interested in it. On the CR300, to give you some understanding, it does have 3 depth channels on the actual probe itself. There's an O-ring there, a locking mechanism to prevent it from blowing out, which you have to physically remove the O-ring, and on that shaft you can set the depth at 3 different levels, 1-inch, 2-inch, and 3-inch. And in our operation manual, we provide an installation guideline, but it's standard 1-inch NPT on the threading, the compression adapter, Kynar compression adapter, connecting the probe itself. So we'll talk a little bit about the CR200, which is the wireless version. Again, we provide a battery. It's a 3.6-volt lithium battery, and that battery will provide you approximately 6 to 9 months of operation with 6 months of data storage in the actual probe itself at a recording frequency of once every 30 minutes. So when you configure the probe itself, you'll have the flexibility to configure it to record continuous, 1 minute, 3 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, or 1 hour. If you program it to 1 hour, that device will store 6 months of data in the probe itself. Batteries will last you about 9 months. We say 150 feet line of sight, but in reality we've got data showing 300 feet line of sight, and that's the same technology in our tank level monitor. And again, the measurement of detection is 0.001 MPY, 10 MPY. Each metallurgy has a different scale with a lower detect limit of 0.001, but for example, copper, that has an upper of 2.0 MPY. Now, we offer both general and pitting. The pitting is on a scale of 0.001 or 0.01 to 100 MPY. And it will interface via the Pyxis app, same app that I just talked about for the level sensor. You download it to your device, and the next screen I'll show you actually how to configure the probe. It'll ask a series of questions, which metallurgy, how frequently you want to record it. Once you've done that, your probe is configured, and you can walk by it and you can connect to the probe, and you can do a data transfer and email that data to yourself as a CSV file directly from Pyxis. The second option for use on the Bluetooth functionality is to connect it with the BTA100 or the UC300B displays. These are the same displays that we talked about in the previous slide for the level sensor. That same display in a single channel, one sensor to one display, you would use a BTA100. And in a multiple channel, two sensors to one display, you would use a UC300B. Remember, each sensor is sending out two signals, both general and pitting corrosion. So you're tying up two channels when you send them. It's a little schematic on the CR200. Again, they look nearly identical. Page just kind of shows a little bit of the options for connectivity. So you can see the upper left corner shows a CR300, which is the wired version. We've added all the potential inputs there where you would take a CR300 and you could wire it to a conventional controller. That's what that controller represents, is just a standard conventional controller. We also offer a USB adapter, which can be mounted in between that probe, and you can see with a USB device if you'd like, and you could use your Pyxis app on your PC. The slide below, you could do the same thing, but use a wireless adapter for the probe and put a wireless key into your PC and use Pyxis. It kind of defeats the purpose, but the whole intent of the CR300 is flexibility to be able to connect directly to any controller. And on the right side, the CR200, again, can utilize direct communication to Pyxis or direct communication to the two receivers that we offer, a BTA100 or a UC300, which can in turn be connected to the controllers for data and visibility. So we talk a little bit about the BTA100. This was the single channel receiver that you would tie to one Bluetooth CR200 probe. Works just like we talked about for the tank level monitor. It's a one-to-one, so it'll receive that input from the corrosion sensor or directly into a controller to track that data on the controller. So that's for those applications where you may want to install a corrosion sensor 250 feet away on the discharge of a condenser somewhere, and the customer is absolutely not interested in running plumbing or power or conduit or wiring to that location. You would utilize CR200 in that format with a BTA100. And then the same thing on the CR200 to C300B is just functionality. However, it offers more input. You can connect up to two corrosion sensors for both pitting and general corrosion on one UC300B. And it is a touchscreen interface which will enable you to also connect from that point to a controller. Pyxis is the app we would use for data management on connecting to the corrosion sensor. You can see the upper left picture. That's actually a screenshot of what you get when you connect to the corrosion sensor. You'll see your sensor. Once you connect to it, bottom right, you can actually specify the sensor, how frequently you want the sensor to record the corrosion data, the type of metallurgy that you're in there, that you're using on the probe. And once you select that metallurgy, it will automatically enter in an upper and lower detection limit for MPY. However, we do give you flexibility to change that scale within the program itself. Utilizing the Pyxis app essentially enables you to have direct access to your probe and your data and upload that data without having to do the manipulation of fumbling through a controller and or changing corrosion coupons. So that's all I have to talk about today. Anybody have questions about things that I can answer?
One question I guess I have, Jeff, is you you envision that there'll be algorithms built into controllers that will respond to corrosion spikes?
Yeah, that's easily done depending on the type of controller. So you typically, the most conventional controllers that are available on the marketplace right now typically don't have that type of functionality. It's what they would call a PID, process loop. However, some of the newer ones from Walchem and Prominent, like the Aegis 2, they do have some limited functionality for PID control. But if you have a customer that's connecting this data to a PLC or a conventional network, they have flexibility to build that in, where you could in turn take that data and use it as a trim feed to adjust a dosage response based on another primary signal, let's say flow. Flow at least controls everything, but you're trimming and ramping your dosage based on real-time corrosion.
Another question is, do you envision, has Kaibin looked at the possibility of galvanized?
Yes, he has. But, you know, I asked that. Typically they use zinc. Just put zinc in there. And we can add that metallurgy to the Pyxis app. We didn't start there, but it's very simple to do. You know, customer would just obtain zinc electrodes, put them on there. I mean, you know that it's going to be high, obviously, and we would put that on there and just build in that as a drop down option. But a lot of that question has come up. I asked the same question myself, but it's easy for us to make that happen probably today.
So along the same lines is you know, so there's a lot of metallurgies that are out there that all the data is available. If there were specialty applications,
we have a lot of flexibility. It would not be challenging. Yeah. We can make modifications at any given time. We just kind of start with the major ones that people typically want to shoot for until we build more market presence. We've been selling this now for a month or two, and we've sold quite a few. Ironically, it seems like the CR300, the wired version, tends to be the immediate go-to because that's what people are used to. But CR200 definitely has its niche.
Did you give costs for the CR300?
Yeah, I did. Hang on.
I didn't see that near the 200.
Yeah, you know what, I didn't.
And also, how do you want those installed? Are they installed in a flow assembly? Because you're 1-inch MPT, and I think standard is 3/4. So
that is that was a challenging decision based on the opportunity of where we thought the majority of these units would be sold, as to whether to design them in 3/4 or 1-inch. And the vast majority of requests was 1-inch, so that's what the design came to. That may represent a little bit of a modification need in the mid-market, because I do know that 3/4-inch tends to be more common.
So would you install this at the end of your corrosion coupon rack? Would it adapt there?
Yes, it could. But remember, if it's a 3/4-inch coupon rack, that diameter or that shaft will not fit into the ID of a 3/4-inch rack. So you would have to make a loop extension on that corner in a 1-inch. And in the manual, we give you a flow installation recommendation. It's typically installed horizontally facing the flow as the flow is coming into the rack. So we actually have a diagram of that in the manual. The list price of the CR200 and the 300, and they're the exact same price, and I did that for a reason. I didn't want to, have customers leaning in one direction or the other. We set it the same. List price is $1,450. Your AWT price, ETI price, is $1,088. If you compare that to what you would pay for a single-channel Corrator, I think you'll all quickly recognize that's about 60% reduction, or no, 60, 70% cost difference. So for the money, you're certainly going to get a lot more with the Pyxis approach. And that was our whole intent, was to create something that performs equivalent to or better, and it's easier to use, and it's a fraction of the cost.
Now let me comment on the 1 inch. In recent years, I believe both NACE and CTI have made recommendations for the corrosion coupon rack to be 1 inch in diameter. They found at 3/4 inches there were some turbulence issues that created false positives on corrosion. So I think that's probably why the market direction is towards the 1 inch. Okay, any other questions?
Just going back to the installation. The flow coming directly at the end of the unit.
I'm sorry, I meant you cut out there.
Yeah, I had another call coming in. The flow is directly like head on coming in, so you would screw it so the flow comes straight in. I can look at the manual and I'll understand it.
And it's in the manual, and you know, quite honestly, that's how our initial recommendation. But you know, with LPR, it's relative, and obviously you certainly don't want to have excess facing velocity and any impact. But that's how we find it installs the best. But you know, some customers have played around with that a little bit. The key is with LPR is to establish that linear relationship between what you're getting with your corrosion coupon and what you observe with the real-time data from LPR, recognizing that relationship may not be one-to-one. That's the nature of LPR, but it very well could be one-to-one. Once you've established that linear relationship for your application and your system, it becomes a tremendous tool for instantaneous understanding of what's going on. We have a great white paper on this product that we did exposing copper tips through the CR200 to cooling water that's been hyperchlorinated, and we also and then hyperdosed with azole while we're monitoring the azole level with our inline azole probe. So it's a very, very telling white paper to show the impact of hyperchlorination, the response of polytriazole versus halogen-resistant azole on copper corrosion, all in a real-time environment utilizing those two tools. And that's something I could share with you guys if you guys are ever interested in reading about that. Sure.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you for your participation, and we will follow up with a recording of this in case you want to share with anybody else. Have a great day.